Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
I'm Janelle Pizarro.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss, and thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do.
And do tech good.
Pow! Boom! Na. Feeling really good today, guys. We're gonna represent. We got a gold tank, and we're ready to go. And we're gonna talk to somebody that's all about reputation and reputations, I guess, online reputations. Is that fair?
That's fair.
That's fair. All right, cool. Let's welcome him in. We have brand strategist, author, and online reputation expert, Ryan Erskine. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Welcome.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. And let me just first off say thanks for coming back on the show. We talked probably in like episode 40-something, like 2 years ago, I think.
I've been on early days.
Yeah, you were on the show early days.
OG.
Original.
Was that before you, Janelle?
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
It was definitely before me.
I'm gonna start interviewing you next.
Yes, I love it.
All right, first
Actually,
question for
there's an
Janelle.
interview already. You can look at it at thundernerdswho.com. There's an interview with me. Promise.
Right.
Give away the old URL.
Yeah,
I know.
thundernerds.io.
Slash Nalaro, right?
Oh.
Like the whole thing. And
You're going old school. I get it.
Oh, gotcha. All right. I think you got a question for Ryan.
Oh, I do? Yes, I do. Okay. It's like, wait, what? I do? My first question that I like to ask people to kind of like get them loosened up is to pick something that is in your room right now, like where you are, that is vital to your job.
Oh, he's panicking. Oh my God.
So it could be a piece of paper, you could draw it out, you could whiteboard it, whatever you need to do if you don't have it with you. But yeah.
Looking around that room, what did you got?
A phone. That's good. That's good.
I mean, come on.
So tell me why it's important for you.
I got a new case.
Well, yeah, that's all I was referring to, is just the case, actually.
Oh.
I'd say the phone, because I'm on it all day, whether I'm listening to Spotify just to keep me sane, or if I'm checking emails, responding to emails, my whole team works on Skype. So if yeah, you hear that? They're coming for you. Yeah, so my whole team works on Skype. So I'm, on the one hand, Skype notification crazy, and then emailing clients on the other. So it's 100% necessary.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're on Skype all day. Ryan, what exactly do you do? Can you tell us? From my understanding, you are a brand strategist, an author, an online reputation expert. Do you mind going into each one of those bullets and kind of filling us in?
It's all Skype. I just hang out all day.
You're a professional Skyper.
Yeah. That's all I do.
Nice. I didn't know people did that.
Yeah. It's it's a good job. It's a good gig. So the author piece is comes from the rest of the work I do, right? Like let's zoom out a second. The work that we do at BrandYourself is helping people empower themselves to take control of their online footprint, which if you look at whether it's the US government is looking to screen social media for people coming in the country, or employers looking to screen employees, or colleges looking to screen college applicants, you name it, it's necessary to be careful or cognizant of what's going out there. So what we're doing is empowering people to take control of their own personal brand and online footprint. So brand strategy for us means for the folks that aren't using our do-it-yourself platform, they're using our services to help from a professional standpoint take control. We're managing their brands with them. So that's the brand strategy. It's really personal branding and corporate branding for the corporate clients that we're working with. The author is, as we talked about last time, I have that ebook, and I'm a Forbes contributor. So I'm writing about the same sort of things that we do. Thank you. Writing about the same sorts of things that we do on a day-to-day basis for our clients to help get the word out about what people should be doing. And then online reputation expert, I mean, that's what we do. So
yes, that does cover it.
That's the nature of the beast.
All the things.
Yeah.
So who the heck really are you, and why are you so awesome AF? Like, how did you get to where you are, Ryan?
So
give us the Lord of the Rings version.
The Lord of the Rings. At first I was a little hobbit in the
Shire.
In the Shire, yeah. Thank you. I was looking for that.
Same.
I don't know how I thought of that.
That was quick. So I guess if you talk pre-brand yourself, like 4 or 5 years ago, I was a freelance writer. I was ready to take the leap into working full time, and I had written loads of package copy, press releases, articles, you name it. I was having a hard time setting myself apart during that job hunt, though. I don't know if anyone else out there can relate, but the resumes and the cover letters really weren't covering it, or weren't cutting it, rather. So I had set myself up a personal website on Squarespace. I kept it simple, got my portfolio of work on there, and I started using that as a reference point so that when I would send out these emails, I could be like, hey, check me out here. And at the time, Brand Yourself was looking for some professional writers. So we're a company that cares about people's online presence. Naturally, the fact that I took an interest in my own reputation, so to speak, my own website and footprint really struck a chord with the people, with the HR director, who then reached out and said, I'd like to hear more. So I started at that writing capacity. And now today, I mean, ironically enough, I guess my biggest outlet for writing in my regular job is really email. But of course, I'm writing on Forbes and some other pieces. But email's great. I promise they're great emails. They're so well formatted. They look great.
Well, you would know. You wrote the emails, so you did the quality check and the content. You're like a unicorn. You do it all.
Yeah. So
but, I mean, to go back to your point, I mean, everybody will think about emails as something that's just kind of like junk or things that bug you during the day. But really, I could speak for myself. I subscribe to a few different emails that I do actually care about, and I do read them. So when you subscribe to something like that and you get that email, you're going to care about it, and you're actually putting out quality tips. Yeah.
And look, email today is such an important form of communication. And so for me, there's a lot that goes externally to clients, to folks who are looking for tips or, software support. And then internally, as we're helping to grow this team and this company, making sure the right messages get sent across. So I'll pat myself on the back for those well-formatted emails. That's all I'll say.
Well, I'll just say this: I've read your stuff and I've read your blogs, and I do subscribe to one of your emails, and you do put out really good stuff. And you can see we retweet you quite frequently, and we appreciate what you put out there.
Thank you.
Not to stick on the email question, but somewhat recently, I think Frederick and I talked about too. We had an interesting discussion with about the ending your email with the traditional sincerely, regards, thank you, best,
yeah,
with love.
There was two sides to it. One was it's good to do that, and there's certain ending points to that. I can't remember what's the actual term. There's a term for is it salutation?
Salutations.
Sounds right.
Yeah. There's several versions that apparently have good, I guess, return on investment in the fact that people actually respond to it. My thing was actually, is it even necessary, or is it better to address what that does in the context of the email? Like, say at the end, be like, thanks, Frederick. I look forward to hearing your insight into this design, versus and then end and have your default signature at the bottom with your name, and you're like, here's my Twitter account.
Except for my iPhone.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion as a expert of email?
That's my new title now.
Yeah, we're gonna add that to your intro.
Yeah. Geez, I've increasingly been stepping away from the formal outro, and not for any sophisticated reason other than it's just been feeling unnecessary, and I don't think it does. I don't think it serves any purpose, even in the most formal of emails. Maybe if I'm writing a really stern email, I'll give it stern. I'll give it sincerely, but that's.
Well, I could see too how you could interpret it at the end of an email as this is probably something that's in somebody's footer, and it's cliche and it's not authentic, right? And if you want an actual engagement from someone from that email, your ideal thing to be is authentic.
Right. And so it's interesting. There are some folks I've seen who have tried to they've tried to snazz up their salutation, if you will, with something like "be great," but that just comes across to me as like even worse than a best.
High five at the end with an emoji.
Have any of you all read The Small Big by any chance? Okay, cool. So The Small Big is a really, really awesome book that I'm required to read currently, but it's really awesome. And it talks about things like email because personally, I don't like emails, but email as like a tool, right? Like just like you're saying, Ryan, and how you can effectively communicate and also get money from people through just email, or sending like actual mail to people.
Is that like the Nigerian prince?
No, it's not the Nigerian prince, but it's very like they talk about, like how the Nigerian prince can make money, right? By preying on people, which is super awesome. And by super awesome, I'm totally joking about that. But yeah, so like how using specific words like, hey, your peers are doing this positive thing, you should also do this positive thing. You get a lot more response that way, and you get a lot more positive return, just like you were saying, Brian, on like those salutations can get that response back. So there's some really cool studies on there. So
that's interesting. So when you try to engage people with the sense of community and belonging, that's one of those kind of emotional things that you get into somebody's head and say, well, I want to be like Brian. I want to do that if Brian's doing it, which that's something I think about anyway.
You see that?
We all want to have Brian on our shirt.
Exactly. Just for the listeners that are not watching this currently, Brian has a beautiful Thunder Nerd shirt that is for sale on our website at thundernerds.io. That is of Brian.
and it has a very special quote, which our loyal listeners who go all the way to the end of the episode will hear a mistake Brian did talking while it was recording, and it is out of context. However, it is very funny.
Out of context, in context. Speaking of which, Ryan, what should people do online?
Wow. That's open-ended. I think people need to...
Maybe I should say, what should people not do? Look, I'm making a joke, obviously, but why don't we start getting to like the nitty-gritty of what you actually do and what people should and should not do online? We could start off like really high level and kind of dive deep.
Sure. So look, at a high level, people need to be careful of the potential damaging things that are out there, and proactively either removing or burying those and pushing out more positive and relevant content about them. So what does that mean? Like what would be the damaging pieces of content that are out there? And the way to think about this is from a screening algorithm perspective, because some folks are, and you can look at it from a manual perspective, like what if you were to look me up before inviting me to the show, what kinds of things are you looking for when you look me up, right? But even more important typically are the screening algorithms that employers are using, that colleges are using, that credit card companies. increasingly your credit score is really a reputation score these days. So excuse me. So having things come up on your social media feeds that indicate drugs and alcohol, curses, things that may, when taken in context, may not be that big of a deal, but to a screening algorithm, it's one more reason to just say, let me go to the next person and try, right? It's like resumes 2.0, but you have more ability to craft that online. So you want to be careful about the kinds of things that may be humorous to a small percentage of people, but taken out of context could look really bad for screening algorithms or people that are looking you up online.
Do you mind if I interject really quick and ask you now, are we talking about, and I said we're going to go high level and we're going to dive deep a little bit. So I'll preface with that. I'd like to jump in 2 feet of the water. Are we talking about things when people post or repost or share things on something like Facebook where it's like a provocative video or something that maybe politically doesn't align with half of the population within the United States? Are we talking about those kind of things? Are we talking that simple?
Yeah, it could be. Yes, that's simple. So like the way the Brand Yourself, our new product, the latest version of it, it screens your Google results, your Facebook and Twitter accounts, right? Social media activity, your images, with the idea it's this AI machine learning technology that's very much in line with what the other side of things, the employers and these other organizations that already have screening algorithms out there, they're doing just as you're saying. They're looking for these kinds of reasons to weed people out. The unfortunate thing is that it just ends up miscategorizing. Like it does a good job of, in the same way that a resume, think of it this way, in the same way that a resume does a good job of weeding out people that might have left in careless typos, right? Or like some sort of, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person's going to be any less good of an employee, but it's one reason to get rid of something from your stack. And same deal here with online screenings where maybe a picture of you drinking or a thing you posted that was super polarizing, maybe that's not all that bad, but it may be one reason for this organization to not take you seriously over the other people that look just like you but are much better from the online perspective.
Sure, because there's 100 million people out there that want the same job. It's very competitive. I'm sorry, Brian, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't know if you ever listened to Bread Time, Ryan. They're a very interesting show, very short show, podcast. We'll have a link, but there was a recent one called it was Personal Brand with Pablo Stanley, and he has a big online presence. He's a designer, and they did say one interesting thing related to watching what you post. And they commented about be yourself, but be the best version of yourself. Like don't go and be like, I'm going to mentor everyone and be this incredible person who mentors everyone, they say in their social media, but then when someone actually reaches out to you, be like, no, I don't want to do that. So be like, how do you feel about that side as far as, yes, watch what you post, but be genuine?
I agree with that. I mean, look, what ends up happening is that the online screening tendency skews these algorithms and whether it's algorithms or manual searches, it ends up skewing towards the people who are good at personal branding, right? It rewards the people who have taken the time to be careful about what they're posting. And same as like a resume, someone who has really dove deep and made sure that their resume looks great, same deal. In this day and age, it's someone who has nurtured their online reputation. So to your point, Brian, about, if you can make yourself look in a way that, of course, that's authentic, right? Because once you get in the door, if you look and act nothing like what you were online, that's perhaps even a bigger red flag than if you just had nothing online to begin with, right? You want to be authentic. And at the same time, you want to basically have the content out there that makes you look the part for an employer, a client, right? So it is sort of the best version in the sense that perhaps it's a little bit trimmed down, like maybe save some of the drinking and the sort of wild photos for your, for your Snapchat or your private Instagram account. But the stuff that's actually out there, making sure that it actually reflects you in an authentic and in a effective way, put it that way.
I think it's important to remember that anything you put out on the internet will always be on the internet.
We leave a huge digital footprint.
Ryan, I saw those pictures of you in 1987.
No.
Very likely 1987. But
1987 on the internet. I looked it up on my Atari 500.
What about people who, like, say I deleted my Facebook, I deleted Instagram, I deleted Google Plus, I removed everything. What happens on your side then, as far as, is that a negative?
Well, so I think that's the first. Some people do take that extreme. I think a more common extreme, or a more common response when they realize that this sort of trend is out there, is to put everything on private. Like, and of course you can go the extent of deleting all your social media accounts, but people will put their accounts on private. And while that's okay, it's not the best response, because what it does is, it's like you're
hiding something.
Yeah, well, it's like you understand and you realize that people care about what's out there about you, and so then you just end up covering it up. It doesn't help from the perspective of when someone's trying to actually find information, whether that's manual or screening, and they can't find anything about you. So imagine if take the employer perspective. Imagine you're an employer and you have 3 people in front of you, the person who has a terrific online presence and someone who you can't find squat because everything's private, right there. Who are you more likely to pick? I mean, it seems to me a no-brainer. The person who has put in all this effort to make themselves look appealing, I can find all this accurate and authentic information about them, I'm more likely to want to talk to that person rather than someone who I can't find anything at all. Like, I just can't find them online. That's kind of weird in this day and age,
Can I ask you a big question? I'm sorry, Janelle, were you going to say something?
Yes. Have you ever, by any chance, had maybe like a girlfriend or a significant other who was suspicious, by any chance?
Can you say more?
Well, I mean, if you've ever had a significant other that has ever been suspicious of anything, they will find anything that's private on the internet. They will find it in 20 seconds flat. So I don't know if necessarily like putting things on private is kind of a deterrent for your personal branding, if that makes sense. So yeah, like I feel like some people, I don't know, especially me, I see, like when we're getting new hires, any place that I've ever worked at, I'm the first person that's like, oh, private? Cool, challenge accepted. Like, I'm going to find you. So I love doing that kind of thing. So what do you think about people who do that? Like, do you think that's a deterrent as well? Like, somebody who has to like dive in deep like that. Do you think that, finding those private things and unearthing them and saying, okay, this is a cool person or this is not a cool person, even though they're private, like, what do you think about like that kind of thing, I guess?
So I guess it goes back. I guess I would reiterate the point that for those who have their accounts on private, it's not, they're using social media for some other purpose, right? Which is totally fine. Like, these social media profiles are certainly meant to be used in a way that vibes with you. The thing to recognize is that it also has an impact in a public external way. So, to your point, if it is on private, then it either begs the question of what's hiding or what's out there, or you just end up getting passed over because through no fault of the privacy settings, you just don't have the information out there that positions you in the best light. So go ahead, Brian.
I'm gonna throw the other side of the coin as far as this devil's advocate, so to speak. Could it not also be a positive in the sense that, oh, this person, their binge drinking, partying side is behind a wall, so we
less liable.
there's less of a chance that their Facebook post of them, keg standing, wearing a tutu at some crazy party isn't going to be out there, and the company's not going to have to worry about that.
Sure, if you're the type of person that's posting that, or like alternatively, no, I'm not. I'm not as a.
I'm not.
You pegged him perfect.
No, but the point being, like, if imagine now, again, you're the employer. Would you rather? It's almost like, yes, I could have the employee that hides everything behind closed doors, and that's fine. There's certainly a safety valve there. On the flip side, or would you rather have someone who actually has a strong online presence? They've developed a bit of an audience. Maybe they can get more attention for your company. So you end up looking. There's pros and cons for both, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, you want somebody that might actually even be an influencer that's actually getting a lot of traction that you could leverage as these employment agreements. It's a partnership. So this is somebody that also you're taking onto the company as you're getting something from them, as well as you just getting a paycheck or whatnot, or fulfillment in your career. Right. So there's some kind of synergy there, Yeah, and that brings me to a question I really want to ask you about, and I deeply want to go back and ask Janelle later on about this relationship that you had, because I know there's a story. I need to know about that because it's good and juicy. But Ryan, let me go back super high up to the moon and start to come down, and you can answer this as detailed or as little detailed as you want, but because this is a biggie. What does a successful social presence look like then?
I think it totally. What did you say, Brian?
I said, "Oh boy."
I said, "Oh boy," because I'm not asking you to like for the moon here. Like I was saying, I just want to know, like, simply put, what should I have online
in 28 days? Tell us.
Segue after this.
Yeah, right. Perfect segue. Plug. I think it totally depends on the goal, right? Like if your goal, you may have a goal that is, I want to look professional for employers. You may have a goal that I want to be a social media superstar or some sort of influencer. It really depends. There's a wide spectrum. Or maybe you are just so, you could be like Brian and you want to delete all of your social media accounts, right?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. So I guess my very short answer is that it depends on the goal. But I think at a baseline, you want to have enough properties where you have a significant control of your first page of search results. I think at a minimum will allow you to take control of that narrative. So that way, whether it's an algorithm or whether it's a person, a client, an employer, a college representative, when they're looking you up online, if they can at least find a certain number of things, whether it's your personal website, LinkedIn, a few social media profiles, enough where you can tell your own story. That way, even when something negative might be out there, and this is a huge thing that people I think don't take seriously enough, which is the risk that something negative could either be out there already or could be out there in the future. And it can come so easily from, I've seen this time and time again, from an angry ex who just decides to like blast you online, or from an angry client or an angry employee, right? I mean, the point is, if you don't take control of your online presence or your company's online presence, it leaves the door open for anyone to say anything about you. And then that's the narrative that's out there. And there's some crazy stats out there about, 50% of people who look themselves up find things that they don't like, whether that's images or something that someone's written about them. So I think, what's that?
A t-shirt, right, Brian?
Yeah.
My t-shirt is awesome.
That's just something in the physical world that
Oh yeah, that's right. You can't look that up. Good point.
Well, you can. ThunderNerds.io/store.
Oh, wait, what was
We're
that?
We're doing a lot of personal branding here too.
Everybody buy some Brian apparel.
Brian apparel, yeah.
Hashtag Brian apparel.
Oh God.
So yeah, so
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so Frederick, I would say at a minimum, you want a personal website, something that can use it as a central hub of information about you, right? At the bare minimum, you want information about what your experience is, your expertise, contact information if someone wants to get a hold of you, like at the bare minimum.
Yeah,
and then
that's what I was going to ask you about. Sorry to interject again, but one of the things within your book, the 28-day challenge, you talk about a personal website, and I was wondering how important it is for a person or an entity to have a actual website, or can they just take just use a social media, or is that personal website absolutely paramount?
So I don't think. There's always caveats, right? So I wouldn't say that it's 100% necessary. The reason that I like suggesting it is because with your name in the URL and a bio about you, it has such a terrific chance to rank for your name in search results. And so what a great way to have a central hub of information about you, ranking for your name when someone looks you up online. Of course, you can have a LinkedIn, but you don't have as much control over the type of content or design or what have you. And it's so easy these days with WordPress or Squarespace or any of the others to just have that central hub for yourself. So look, you can do it. You can do it on, make Medium your hub or make LinkedIn your hub, but why not have the way I look at it is it's an extra tool in the tool belt. And if you also have a LinkedIn or a Twitter, even better, it adds a little bit more context for when someone is looking you up online.
Very, very, yeah, very true. I really wish, though, that somewhere out there was like some sort of guide, some sort of challenge, like step by step, day by day, that could, direct me on the path, like of what you're talking about.
How many days would this challenge be, Brian?
Yeah, I don't know, like 26, 20, 22? I don't know.
What about, like, if you think about February, how many days are in February?
31?
31? No, that's not right. I think 32.
Ryan, do you know how many days are in February?
I think there are 28 most days, most years.
Oh, that's
except on leap years, right?
That sounds like a good number. You have we're going on a big segue. You have what's called the 28-day challenge, and when our previous episode, which we'll link, I think we were just starting that or finishing it off. Am I correct? Like building it.
I think we had just finished, and you were telling me that you would like a follow up, like the post challenge.
Which is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, did you do it?
I didn't do it. Not yet. I'm waiting for part 3 of this series. So.
Okay, third time. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So the idea of the 28-day challenge is just to enable people in bite-sized chunks to take control. Think of it as like here are the bare bones of what you would want to do if you wanted to take control of your online presence. And it's very much based off the same information that we give people who are using the Brand Yourself product, the same info that we're giving Brand Yourself clients. But this is out there as a free 28-day challenge. Do it yourself, and it walks you through like the first steps. You want to be making sure that you're representing yourself in the right way. So it gets you thinking about who your audience is and the kind of content you'd want to be putting out there. And to your point, Frederick, about setting up your website, and then it takes you on a journey, a Lord of the Rings journey. Only 20
from the Shire.
From the Shire.
Full circle.
Full circle, yeah.
Like a ring.
Like a ring. Beautifully.
Lord.
So it takes you on that journey for 28 days, so that you can get yourself in a position where you're giving yourself the best opportunity to look great online. With the caveat being, no, you will not look perfect after 28 days, but it does give you a foundation, and then you can keep it active after that.
Does it direct me how to spray paint those big muscles on my chest and my abs so I can have a nice 6-pack?
What?
Yes. That's day 29. That's the bonus. Ryan, the bonus material on day 29. Stay tuned.
Let there
Sorry,
be
Ryan.
abs on day 29.
We let Ryan out of his room every once a month.
Well, we talked about looking great online. I think of the people. I think of the crazy people on Instagram that post like themselves, like, you know, I'm buff and flexing, and I kind of wonder, does that impact employers, like when people are posting themselves, not necessarily in a sexual way, but in a way that might be looked at like, yeah, that's kind of inappropriate, but it's not like a keg stand or like a crazy party thing, or they're not drinking. Like, does that impact? I mean,
yeah, well, go ahead. We'll finish.
No, that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. So I'd say, remember, it all comes back to the goal. Someone may actually be, a lot of the people who are incredibly buff on Instagram happen to also be fitness trainers or fitness instructors. And so to them, that actually is their livelihood. And so to have that out there is a big plus for them. I have had a client who, this wasn't her livelihood, but she was a bit of an influencer in the fitness space. Mm-hmm. And she was looking to, she's in the finance industry, and it's a pretty conservative industry, and it started to affect her. She already had the job, but it started to affect her day-to-day contact with clients. They would bring it up, and it was pretty uncomfortable. So then she was taking steps to remove that information and instead put out information that was a little bit more in line with her day-to-day job. So it certainly can affect.
What would you suggest?
I'm sorry, really quick, just to append to your point, Brian, is there any kind of like a Black Mirror-ish kind of thing, like we were talking before the show, like a Black Mirror-ish or / Gattaca, for those who've seen that movie, kind of thing about health and youth and exercising? Are employers looking at that kind of stuff on social media, thinking that this person might be better than another person because of ageism or health?
Wow, that's a good question, and I would have to get back to you on that. But I have to imagine there's some, whether it's the health aspect that you're talking about, or whether, like, I think there are all sorts of minor skews at play or judgments that are being made with these algorithms, right? Because, I mean, at the bare minimum, it reflects well, as I said before, on the people who are good at branding themselves well. And that's not a knock on personal branding. It is a good way to showcase your skills, but it's worth bearing in mind that there is some sort of judgment against the people who aren't doing that for themselves. And so to your point, I mean, whether it goes as deep as, some sort of judgment about health or ageism, certainly in China, they're doing that, right? With the credit system.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, where they're actually ranking people, and it's affecting like everything.
Millions are getting banned from traveling. Yeah. If you don't look smart.
Gosh.
It's like that one Black Mirror episode.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Season 3, episode 1. I know what you're talking about.
It's social credit is what they call it in China.
You want to be a 4.5. I believe that was the Black Mirror reference. So to add to that as well, like, I just wonder, like, when people put their birthday down in Facebook, if there's any kind of algorithm to filter something out like that, like, hey, we don't hire anybody over 50, so we didn't ask you your age, but it was on your Facebook.
I could definitely see that having an effect, and that's really unfortunate. I've spoken with career coaches and HR directors, and I don't know if you've heard this, but there are suggestions and things out there that try to look between like 30 and 50, or 30 and 45. Like, if you look too young, then there's a fear that you don't have enough experience. If you look too old, maybe you're out of date or out of touch. I mean, I think that's sad, because there are many reasons why people who are younger or older would be a great fit for a company. But again, it goes back to that screening algorithm. It's like, same deal with resumes, right? If, you didn't go to one of these top tier schools that's in our algorithm to like screen for, or you didn't have the GPA that was above a 3 point whatever, it's another reason for us to, put you to the other pile and go through something else.
Yeah, I just think when I see these images and videos of these companies in Silicon Valley, I don't see a lot of guys in their 60s, 70s walking around making decisions. I see a lot of people within their 30s and 40s.
Right.
I think that's kind of cool to like know that exists, and also kind of terrifying. I mean, I know, for example, at my company, in my opinion, literally the best developer we have is over the age of 50. Like, he is beyond amazing. He solves things in like 2 seconds for fun. Like, he's just amazing, right? And I couldn't imagine working without this human being in our office, right? So the fact that people can be ageist is a little frustrating to me, and I don't know how you all feel about it, but I mean, tell me your thoughts.
Well, Brian's 55, and he looks like he's 55, and I really get angry when people are kind of ageist against him.
Yes, I mean, I wish I looked 55 with like a really gray, thick beard, and perhaps maybe I sounded like Sean Connery, and I'd have a cape.
Oh yeah, I want you to do that too.
Yeah, I can't.
And then you'd be like the Dos Equis guy. You could just, that'd be great.
Oh yeah,
the Dos Equis guy is great.
Isn't that
the most interesting man?
He left.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah,
he's gone.
He's on the moon. Yeah,
he?
well, he's on the moon. He's being the most interesting man on the moon.
Oh, is that how they twisted that brand thing? Okay, good spin, guys.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, there's a new most interesting guy.
Who knows how interesting he is?
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about on the challenge, Ryan, is you wrote something about publishing, how to get published on a major web publication. So what are the major web publications, and why does that matter so much?
So major web publications, I mean, in the traditional sense, they're the top tier sort of business pubs that everyone thinks about, but they could also, a major web publication could also for anyone be something that's more niche. Like, imagine if you're in the healthcare industry, a healthcare publication might be for your audience way more important than some general top tier publication. And so the idea is, by building credibility for yourself as an author, you're putting yourself out there, you're positioning yourself in a certain way for the audience that you care about. So if you're a, I mean, let's say, like, for me, like, the reason, I mean, I happen to love writing, but one of the reasons that I am publishing on a regular basis is because people are finding those articles, and it's a lead generator for me. If you're an employee, or if you're a job hunter, imagine what an incredible asset that is as the employer. You're looking for some potential employees for your company, and you see, wow, and this person actually is like a contributor to this publication. That's a sweet add-on, as well as the fact that they're interested in whatever things I find on Instagram and Twitter. It starts to build a well-rounded story of this employee. And now you compare that to someone who you can't find anything about them online, and it starts to make sense why the people who have developed a more robust personal brand might get some of those opportunities that the other people might miss. And it's unfortunate that I mean, look, even as someone who is so deep in the personal branding space, I think it's unfortunate that it skews towards people that are so good at personal branding. And again, it's not to knock the people who are good at that. It's just that by nature of the beast, the people who are good at that are the ones who are getting more opportunities. And we believe, this is why we have a do-it-yourself product, because we believe that people deserve to have the opportunity to build that personal brand for themselves and get those opportunities, even if they don't know how to do it. That at least we can give them the steps to do it for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. It's build your own story with an emphasis on own it yourself, But we're getting towards the end of the show, unfortunately. I'm going to be up. What, Frederick? Stop messaging me. But rapid fire. So I have an interesting question for my spotlight this week. I changed it up a few episodes ago, or for our listeners that know. This week's question is a little different. What is an item that you've had since you were a young child that you still have? It could even be, maybe on your desk or something. You got it when you were 10 years old. And what I'm holding for our audio listeners is a seashell. And I've had this since I was 10. I asked for it for Christmas because I wanted to hear the ocean in it. And I still have it. I've carried it with me everywhere. It's one of the few things, like, I have literally lived, have everything I own almost in one box, and still this came with me. So yeah, what is something that it doesn't have to be, a shell, it could be, anything. What is something that you yourself have carried with you, Frederick?
Oh, from like childhood?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Mine's going to be depressing, Brian. I don't have anything from childhood. Nobody loved me when I was a kid. I was homeless and couldn't eat. So.
Well, I mean, it could be when you're younger. Like, from college years, could be, something that you still have that. I mean, because most people tend to purge. Like, what's something? If you want to think about it, we can make Janelle go and put her in the spotlight.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll think about it.
Yeah, I can go. I have a little doll, and her name is Melissa, and she is a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Oh,
and
love that.
Yeah, she is a bunny, except she's got a face of a child, which is a little creepy. So yeah, and her little, like, her bunny tail squeaks, and I have quite literally had that since my birth. I have
so
pictures
cute.
of it. Yeah, and everything.
Can I see that?
It literally travels with me. I will come bring it later, but it's all the way back there, and it's in a box.
All right, next episode.
Moving.
Next episode, everybody. At front-end design conference, you're going to meet Melissa.
That's awesome. Frederick, did you think, or?
Sure, yeah. I could think about, we've had the same dog for 17 years, Jerome. He's going to be 18 soon enough.
Oh, you took my answer.
Oh, okay, there you go. So Jerome's a Chihuahua, and they'll live to about 24 years old. So yeah, he's been with us for a long time, and I love that guy.
Ah.
Ryan, do you have a different one? Or are you good?
No,
you can talk about your dog.
I'm sticking with the same answer. My family has a dog, Kiki, a little Bichon white fluffy gal, and so she's 15. She just turned 15, and that I can't give a more thoughtful answer than that, and I'll leave it at that.
Doggos are the best. I love.
Frederick, I think the others are feeling a little bit out of place by putting those non-animalia, non-human pieces. How's that shell, Brian?
It is fantastic. I had a cat for 23 years, which is really old for a cat, and she
That is.
Wow, yeah.
she actually almost he was fine. He as far as overall health, but he was having breathing problems and it was getting really bad. But it was pretty amazing that's what really, age. Like, it's the only animal I've ever had that age was finally what ended it. Because all of the other ones, for some reason, like every single one, cancer.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know how for dogs it's 7 years?
Yeah, 7 years is one.
What is it for cats? Is it similar?
Oh, human years to dog years? Is that?
I've never heard of a cat living to 20 plus. I just don't know, but 20 plus years sounds incredible.
Here, let's mess with everybody's phones. Hey, Siri, how many years is a cat?
Not my phone. I just switched to Android.
Ooh,
okay, Google.
Okay, Google.
Oh, no.
Did it actually work?
Yeah.
Oh, you broke my phone.
I hope that does
I'm
that to
on my
a
phone.
bunch of
You
people's
can't do
phones.
this.
Oh, that's funny.
Janelle,
What's up?
rapidly, I'm thinking of something.
Oh, is it rapid fire questions?
Rapid fire questions. Ba, 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 ba.
Woo! I knew you were going to do that. I did it too. It was great. Alrighty. Ryan, we do a little bit of a segment called Rapid Fire Questions where we ask you all the questions we didn't get to ask you, but super fast. Also, we get to ask you really cool, fun stuff too, like, you know, do you like marshmallows or something, you know, weird like that, right? So get prepared, get ready for all of the weird questions. We're going to go.
Do some push-ups.
It's going to be me first, and then Frederick, and then Brian, and we're just going to go in that kind of rotation. Sound good, everybody?
Sounds good, Janelle.
All right, awesome possum. My very first one. What makes an influencer, and what makes a like regular person like a personal brand person? What's the difference?
Well, I guess I'd say an influencer is someone who has the ability to change behavior of others. So on social media, I guess those people who have a big enough following or an engaged enough following to actually make a noticeable impact when they suggest something.
Ryan, should you have a ton of LinkedIn followers, or does that matter?
So I think, again, depends on your goal. And I would say, like, look, followers for the sake of followers. What's that?
Just in general.
Yeah, I'd say followers for the sake of followers are not important, but if you are developing an audience and a network that's interested in your thoughts and content, and LinkedIn is one of the best places for that because it's such a professional-minded network, then yes.
Pizza toppings of choice.
Margarita.
Ah, good one.
Remote workers or non-remote workers?
From what perspective? Like me personally?
Yeah.
Oh, I love coming to the office. We have a work from home policy. You can work from home 1 day a week in our department, and I almost never take it because I just feel so much more in the zone in the office. I'm like the postal workers. I through sleet, through whatever, I'm here.
Favorite board game?
Scrabble.
Nice, good choice.
Favorite T-shirt?
Yours.
Yes.
The most important advice you've ever been given?
Oh man.
That is an intense question.
It was a hard one, yeah.
We went from pizza toppings to that.
I told you to ready yourself. I did. I warned you.
I said do push-ups. Feel free to pass.
Pass.
It's okay. Yeah, you can totally pass.
Favorite cartoon as a kid?
SpongeBob.
What is a guilty pleasure of yours?
I love eating cereal at night. It's great.
Oh, fun.
After, post dinner. It's like my second dinner, you know?
I like it.
And then this is going to be my last question, but what is your middle name?
Victor.
Ooh.
Cool.
Ryan.
My brother's middle name.
It's a really nice name. Ryan, isn't that the shirt you wore the day after yesterday?
Yes.
Jeez. So I guess my last question, what is your favorite cereal? I need to know that now.
So I totally go in waves. I have different favorites, but my all-time favorite are those oatmeal squares.
Oatmeal squares. What are?
It's like a Quaker Oats, but they're oatmeal squares. They're so good.
Like, what's the flavor?
Oatmeal?
Amazing.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, is it like a brown sugar,
Brian?
cinnamon? Is it honey? I mean,
Oh, that's fair. No, that's fair.
No, it's like a sweetened wheat. It's not like a. I wouldn't. It's not like a.
Oh, it's like Chex, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh.
But better.
But better. He's like, it's better, Brian.
I feel
Brian,
that
Not Lucky Charms.
Ryan, what's your favorite thing about you?
About me.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing about you?
Oh, where do we start? Oh my God.
No, just your favorite one. We'll start there.
I like that I'm lighthearted. I don't take things too seriously.
Great, see, that's an honest answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite cartoon as a kid?
You already asked that.
You already asked that one.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think he was trying to trick you there, see if you would change it.
I kind of was, yeah.
Favorite cartoon? Quaker Oats. Wait, what?
Well, we are getting to the very end of the episode, Ryan. I just want to know if you have any kind of final words of wisdom that you would like to bestow upon our audience, any benevolent quote or whatnot.
Sure. I wouldn't, no quote, but I will say, look, for those who have stuck with us the whole way, if you are convinced or interested in putting your best foot forward online, go check out BrandYourself.com. We've got a free do-it-yourself product. We have our in-house services. Check it out. You can get your free reputation score online. It's like your credit score, but for the 21st century. And it'll scrape through everything and tell you what's going wrong for you online and what you could do to improve it.
That's great. What's that URL?
BrandYourself.com.
And it's such an awesome URL.
Go check it out.
What's some of the best ways people could get out?
Oh, Janelle found it. She likes it.
I like it. I'm a fan.
Frederick, what were you saying?
What's some of the best ways people could get a hold of you? If somebody wants to learn more about you specifically.
Follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And I'm sharing content on there all the time. And
what's your Twitter handle?
Ryan Erskine, RyanerSk. And just Google me. You'll find my stuff.
We'll put a link to all your stuff on the show. Yeah. Well, and man, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today and coming back on the show. It's been great.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Honored to be back on, and honored to say that I was one of the first members. So
yeah, man. Like I said, I think we were way back in like episode 30-ish, something like that. Like right when Brian first joined the show.
We should totally give like keychains or shirts to the first 30 guests.
Oh, I want Thunder Nerd swag.
I think it should be like SNL's, like Fiverr. They get a jacket.
Oh, yes, done.
I love that.
Yes. Love it.
All right,
cool. All
cool.
get jackets with Brian's face on them.
Oh,
yes,
5 times.
No, I want his face like on the back.
He's not going down the path I wanted to go.
You did this to yourself.
Yeah, kind of. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Appreciate it.